Good evening. Tonight is August 27th, 2014. Welcome to this episode of Independent Nation. My name is John Richardson, and along with me I have my co-host tonight, Bahman Yazdanfar. Independent Nation is a current event show, often and mostly talking about the elections in general and the upcoming civic elections in particular. And to that end, we are very fortunate tonight to be able to interview Dorian Baxter, who yesterday announced that he is running. He is officially on the ballot to be mayor of the great city of Newmarket, or just up there north on the 404. And Dorian is, as I understand it, no stranger to politics, no stranger to running for public office. In fact, I'm going to turn the floor over to him and ask that you begin by giving a bit of history in the history of your political involvement, Dorian.
Yes, well, it's an honor to be here on Independent Nation with the two hosts, and I must admit that I was very honored to be invited on the show tonight. I know that the viewing numbers on the show are growing rapidly, and so when I was asked to come down, I think the one thing that I wanted to make clear is that one of the main reasons I run for public office, John and Barman, is for what I perceive to be the need for accountability. And as such, 20 years ago, I had the honor of founding the largest accountability organization in the country, NAPA, the National Association for Public and Private Accountability, and the offshoot from that is the Canada Court Watch program. But one of the reasons that I decided to run for mayor, there is a gentleman in Newmarket who listened to me when I was running recently for provincial office. And he said at the end, he said, "Dorian, if by chance you don't get elected, I want you to consider running for mayor." His name is Ron Thurgood. He is 92 years old, a very astute Englishman. And what was interesting was he said to me, you would make, pardon the expression, it's a British expression, he said, you would make a bloody good mayor. And my dad used to use that phraseology, and I had never really contemplated running for mayor until Ron Thurgood said that. Then after the election provincially, I had between the emails and the phone calls from the constituents of Newmarket, over 200 people approaching me and saying, "Dorian, run for mayor."
They were happy you weren't elected.
I don't know what it was, but I will tell you one thing, that thanks to Ron Thurgood and the encouragement I've received, I have put my name in the hat, and I'm looking forward to a very exciting campaign. The Era Banner called me yesterday. They were very, very upbeat about it. They said, "Look, Dorian Baxter is going to bring a little bit of excitement, more than we anticipated." And all I could say to that was, thank you very much. And of course, most people know that one of my hobbies is as what they call an ETA, an Elvis tribute artist. And so I was very quick to capitalize on that when I spoke with the reporter, Chris Simon, a very fine young gentleman. And I said, Chris, one of my platforms is going to be to bring to Newmarket the Elvis motif, the E in Elvis for the pursuit of excellence, as far as Newmarket Council is concerned. The L for the pursuit of learning. So many young people today are jobless. They need to be retrained. They need to be given the opportunity for the pursuit of learning so that they can be re-qualified for the kind of opportunities I think Newmarket is going to have, especially if I have the honor of being at the helm of this remarkable time that I have called home for the last 18 years. And I said the V in Elvis is for the pursuit of vitality that I believe I can inject into the local economy by bringing the kind of activities, the kind of investments that we need. The I in Elvis for the inspiration that I believe Newmarket can be with the right leadership. I believe Newmarket, and I put this on the website today, I said I believe Newmarket can be the jewel in the province of Ontario's belt. We can overcome the difficulties that we have had. I'll be candid with you, under the present leadership, try though they have done so, every year there's been greater and greater expenditure. There's always been a raising of taxes. We need to deal with that. And of course, if we pursue the E for excellence, the L for learning, the V for vitality, the I for inspiration, of necessity, I believe Newmarket will experience success. The S and L was for success on an unprecedented level. But the most important thing here is we've got to have a mayor who is prepared to listen to the councillors. I was in the council chambers on Monday, and my goodness, there seemed to be a very great intransigence and unwillingness to listen to one councillor in particular, and trying to cut that person off. It was borderline bullying, and that surprised me, because I know the current mayor. In other settings, I never even imagined there would be that approach. So I think that I could bring and will bring a sense of harmony, collegiality, an opportunity for all the councillors to be heard. And this particular councillor that was being cut off, I discovered that she was in a position where she was pointing out that there was a potentially $1 million investment in some high-tech company, and there had been no consultation whatsoever with the taxpayers. And the average, sort of, let's say, raise in taxes over the last 9 years has been 4.4% higher than any of the neighbors. Of course, the other thing that shocks me is that our particular area in the GTA known as York region is now in the highest amount of debt. Like, York region carries more debt per capita than any other region across Canada. We're a part of that. And I think we need to put an end to this raising of taxes. We need to recognize the importance of consulting the citizens of Newmarket. We need to also do something to offset the devastation that has occurred. And again, I don't know how this happened, but this particular municipality, under the leadership of the current mayor, has somehow managed to quagmire Newmarket in the most unbelievable construction that has seen, or Davis Drive, which used to be a thriving avenue for all kinds of businesses, is now like a defunct operation. The businesses have been driven out, they have been unable to get what they should have got, and I think that as mayor of Newmarket, I would seek to make some reparations to those people, bring them back in. They've left the area. We need to put a very swift end to the projects and begin to get Newmarket moving in the direction it should be moving in. And finally, the one thing I would say is communication, respect, and ability to bring a consensus within the council that is geared to the well-being of every taxpayer in Newmarket is going to make the world of difference.
Well, Dorian, all of this very admirable, and as I asked from all of my previous guests in this show that who was running for mainly City of Toronto, either
Yes.
councillor or trustees, all of this is dandy, but when you get there, first of all, there is two hurdles. One is how you get there, and second is how you manage to work with other people. Everybody talks about harmony. Everybody talks about bringing common sense to the way that our cities and our politicians work with the public. Everybody talks about bringing the budget in a balanced way. But the point is, in last 30 or 40, at least in last 30 years I am in Canada, I notice every single election, provincial, municipal, or federal, everybody talks about that. But when they get there, they find out the real or reality of the battle they are getting into. Now, my question from you is very simple. Let's say it is October 27 and you get elected, and by December 1st you are in the office. By the way, how many councillors do we have in Aurora?
I believe there are 9 altogether.
Okay, 9 together. And you mentioned that you were in the chamber, and there was some sort of the quagmire and so on. Yeah.
Yes.
How do you want to deal with the another 8? If they don't see, or they don't, in the other 9, I mean, if they don't see eye to eye the way that you see it?
Well, I think, one of the things that I have experienced in my 64 years of being on this planet is
You're 64?
Yes, I'm 64 years old, yes. And I have to tell you that one of the things I have learned, and this maybe comes from the great teachings of St. Francis of Assisi, and St. Francis of Assisi said, "Lord, help me that I would not so much seek to be understood as to seek to understand." And I will bring to the Newmarket Council that adage, which will say, listen, we're here, all of us are here, for the benefit of the taxpayers of Newmarket, Ontario. And our main purpose is to make sure, as best we can, that we take moves to, number one, I want to see an eradication of poverty in this town.
How do you want to do that?
Well, I want to make sure that we have food banks that are able to function properly and use properly, and I want to make sure that we begin to inject into the economy, as I mentioned earlier, we need to attract the kind of jobs that Magna, for example, has been able to offer. I know that Magna is situated in Aurora, but there are Magna plants in Newmarket, and I really, as I mentioned when I was running for a provincial office and federal office even, I am appalled at the myopia of the current regimes federally and provincially in terms of the remarkable opportunities that Canada has. You see, as a mayor, I can draw the attention of the people of Newmarket, and beyond that, to the realization that we in Canada are uniquely positioned because there are 57 nations that range themselves under the banner of what can be regarded as the old British Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. And there are 17 Francophone nations that range themselves under what would be the French, the equivalent of the French Commonwealth. You add those together, and you've got nearly 100 nations that have very similar monetary systems, very similar law, very similar protocol, and there is no reason, particularly India, there is no reason why India has just elected a very progressive a democratic government. Why are we not tapping in to the kind of resources that we can draw into Newmarket and other areas? To me, this will be the beginning of making not only Newmarket, but all of Ontario and Canada and all the towns that are run as municipal councils, to give that prosperity right across the nation. But in particular, my main concern is that Newmarket the council be able to put a perspective into all that they're doing, so that instead of wanting everything their way, each councillor should be looking at the position of each other councillor, and to be able to say, you know what, as long as we are working collegially for the betterment of this town in general, I think we can see harmony, and we can see a united front that will benefit significantly the people of Newmarket on a level that I don't think has been seen in the last few decades.
It is your hope, of course.
Well, obviously, I mean, this is my position, and this is, I've got to thank Ron Thurgood, who suggested I do this. And I do believe I can deliver on this. I believe that I have the interpersonal skills, I have the commitment, I love Newmarket, I raised my daughters there, I'm a single parent. I've raised my little girls since they were 2 and 4 on my own entirely. They are now 30 and 33. I consider that my greatest achievement because I get a Mother's Day card every year from my girls and a Father's Day card. And I spend a lot of my time, even though I'm a clergyman in Newmarket, I spend a lot of my time counseling people. I don't charge a cent for that. I go to bat for people, for the underdog. I probably prevent, in the realm of I prevent 4 to 7 suicides every month. Just by being there. I do hospital visitation on a regular basis, not just for my own congregation, but for the people of Newmarket and Aurora. But my focus has been more on Newmarket, obviously. And I'm the senior volunteer chaplain for Southlake Village. I've been involved for years as a member of the Newmarket Lions. I do a lot of community service. So for me, this is the next logical step. I have 2 degrees. I have a BA from York University, a master's degree from the University of Toronto. I'm fully qualified to do the job and to do it well.
Well, I think that you'll be a fabulous mayor, Dorian.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, all the years that I've known you and
Thank
all
you
the
very much. Thank you.
various activities I've seen you've been involved in. I mean, I almost, part of me, although I obviously hope that you win, think that in a way it might be a loss to the community, because are you still going to have time to do all these other things?
Oh, I think so. I think definitely. I mean, the fact of the matter is that as the mayor, you do have obligations. But ultimately, those obligations, in fact, the things that I'm doing right now, I think dovetail with, the office of mayor. And I think that
Clearly it's another form of community service.
it
It's an
sure is,
extension.
yes.
I would
yes.
see it as an extension.
Yes,
of
and
what you're doing.
I mean, for 33 years I've been an educator. I got my principal's papers in 1989, and I have been, I was actually acting principal for Walter Scott Public School for over 9 months. I've done a lot of administrative work, working with 38 staff members, a school population of 950. My preference really was to stay in the classroom. For 16 years, I was the associate professor for Drake University's courses to help teachers to raise their standards, 6 courses at the university level, and I really enjoyed doing that. I think that the one thing that I can honestly say without evasion, equivocation, or mental reservation of any kind is that I can say Dorian will make the difference.
And I would say that Dorian is the only vote you really need,
Well,
the
with-
most versatile vote in the country.
With
I,
that- with that
I
kind
also
of,
I also hope you get elected. However, because based on my own past experience, we come to the second hurdle that I am bringing up.
Yes.
And second hurdle is getting elected.
Yes.
And there is an equation. To get elected, you need votes.
Correct.
To get votes, you need exposure.
That is correct.
For exposure, you need money.
That is correct.
For money, you need donation.
Yes, you know what? I just got my first $200 donation today. I opened an account.
Why are you
with the
giving
CIBC
yourself?
today. Look at this. Oh, another. Look at this.
Yeah.
Fifth. Anybody in Newmarket that is watching this, $50.
Make
from-
sure that make a
from-
receipt for the tax.
Yes, I will for sure. And all I can say to you for that, John, is thank you. Thank you very
You're very
much.
welcome.
That is very kind. So
That's-
$250
I mean,
in the
that's
kitty
the
already.
most money I've ever given to anybody.
Well,
running
now
for
that makes me feel like a mayor. I mean, I was going to say like a king, but like a mayor. Because,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
So we're coming back to donation.
Yes.
So I cannot say, are you getting the donations?
Well, they're
Because
coming,
I
yeah.
just saw.
I-
Apparently, he read my.
Well,
but
it's funny you would mention that
Yeah.
because really and truly, when you stop and think of it, you're right. I was sitting with 2 of the wonderful people in the legislative services in Newmarket municipal offices yesterday as they signed me up. As a
How much is it? $200?
$200, yes. And as they signed me up for that, there is only 3 candidates. There is the incumbent, there's myself, and another contender.
And who is the incumbent?
The incumbent is Tony Van Bynen,
Okay.
and the challenger, along with myself, is Mr. Campbell. And as I signed those documents there, they were saying to me now, they said, Mr. Baxter, you realize that we may be upping the allowed expenditures for the mayor's campaign by a couple of $1,000s, but right now you've got to keep it under $53,750. I said, I'll do my best.
53,000.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to do my best.
Are you getting that 53,000?
Oh, you know what? If this is any indication, all I've got left now to get is another 53,500 because I've just had the
so
250.
You're most of the you're almost close to the end.
He's off to a great
You
start.
just need
Yes.
a good benefactor.
Well, I think the benefactors that I am depending on are the citizens of Newmarket, because as I look at this camera, any of the citizens of Newmarket, and quite a few said they'd be watching tonight, I want you
He's
to know.
asking for a donation.
Well, no, I want the main donation I would like is not monetary at all. The main donation I'd like you to get out there October the 27th and let Dorian make the difference. I can say this with absolute conviction after being on this planet for 64 years. And the Bible teaches, and some of you know I'm a little bit of an expert, it teaches that man shall live for 70 years and 10. And if he be so strong, or she be so strong, 80 years. Well, I was looking at the calendar the other day, and I thought, I'm 64. I'll be 65 in April, and if I make it to 70, it gives me less than 5.5 more years. I said, that's hardly enough time to clean out my garage. So I decided, hey, one of Elvis's favorite songs was It's Now or Never. And when Ron Thurgood gave me that challenge, I thought, if I want to make a difference, and I can, for Newmarket, I better do it now, because the clock is running out. And you know what? There's no time like the present. At this present, it was interesting because Jesus Christ himself had a saying that now is the time, today is the day. And the Greek translation of that is kairos, the critical moment. And there's an old saying, he or she who hesitates is lost. And we need to strike while the iron's hot. I honestly believe if I can head up the Newmarket Council as the mayor, we will see unprecedented growth, unprecedented harmony, because along with the harmony will come respect. Councillor to councillor, mayor to councillor, and councillor to mayor, and above all, from the council to the citizens of this great town of Newmarket.
How long is the incumbent is the mayor?
4 years.
Is his first term?
Well, I believe that's pretty well all across the board. Every 4 years there is a municipal
No, I know,
election.
but is he in his first
Oh, no,
term?
no, Mr. Van Bynen is seeking a third term. He's had 8 years.
So
altogether.
it is 8 years.
Yep, yep.
So he has deeper root, like.
Yes.
I'm talking about with the influential people.
I would imagine, yes. But, I think that really that does not disconcert me at all.
Oh, no, I am not.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting to disconcert you. But what I'm trying to say is the same way a person sits in the office for a long time, make more powerful friends. At the same token, he or she might make more mistakes. So
Yes,
I am pretty
yes.
sure it is across the line everywhere in the world.
Yes,
What I'm
yes.
trying to say is what a specific subject that you have seen in the last 8 years with the current mayor that was neglected.
Well, I would have to say that I regard Tony Van Bynen and his wife, Roxanne, as two very upstanding Newmarket citizens. I think that they are fine people. And certainly, I think, I haven't really had a chance to meet Mr. Campbell. But I think, personally speaking, at the present time, there are just the three of us. Well, I got to tell you, whoever gets in, in my view, it's a win-win-win situation, and I'm not talking about the premier of this province.
Well,
whose name happens to be Win.
My question is not necessarily on the
but
character.
But you've got to let me come round, because I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
But you need to give me time to do so.
Sure.
And so what I wanted to
It's
say
your
to you,
time.
so what I wanted to say to you was that, ultimately, if there were areas, and I have alluded to that earlier, where I could, see that I might be able to make some improvements on what may be perceived as, mistakes, as you pointed out, by the present or neglect or whatever, it would be probably in the area, it would likely be in the area of promoting more understanding, more harmony in these council meetings. I mean, tragically, Mr. Van Bynen ended up spending thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars when he had an altercation with one of the councillors, and instead of resolving that amicably, he ordered the Integrity Commission to come in. Yes, and that cost the Newmarket taxpayers an exorbitant amount. It didn't need to be done that way. And then I think, he was quite happy when they levied a fine of, nearly $5,000 against that councillor. It really made for bad blood there. And I think that, I personally would hope that sort of neglect could be avoided. Like, to me, obviously there are differences of opinion. But, one of my favorite adages is we can always agree to disagree. And certainly one of the most important things is the democratic process. We would not be here if it wasn't for democracy. And democracy has to be respected from the municipal level to the provincial and the federal level. And of course, I was an educator for 33 years. I taught municipal politics for 33 years. I taught provincial politics and federal politics. I understand all levels of that. And consequently, I think it places me uniquely, and I would say this to the citizens of Newmarket, I'm in a very unique position to be able to straddle all three of those stratas and bring and maximize the goodness that I see in each one of those to bear upon the current situation that is faced by Newmarket. I have the skills to be able to bring council together. And if there happens to be an altercation, I'm sure there would be between myself and the council, I am more than happy to resolve that amicably in a side room. I don't need to win every battle.
You mean a disagreement, not an altercation.
Yeah, well, a disagreement.
Well, there is altercations too.
It can develop into an altercation. Yeah, but you're quite right.
It's a boxing match sometimes.
Well, yeah, I think that my boxing days are over. But
But you were athletic. You were a swimmer.
Yes, that is true.
So you can use a part of that. But
Yes.
I think you can use your finesse part of yourself by singing a song to cool them down.
Well, you never know. I mean, you were there when I ran for the Danforth, probably one of the greatest debates, the most organized, and the Honourable Sinclair Stevens was at that debate. It was actually run by John Richardson.
Yes, I remember.
You were a candidate
Yes.
facing off against me, and we were very amicable. There were 11 candidates at that debate, and I have never seen
9
such.
of us.
Yes, I have never seen 9 that showed up,
Yes.
but I have never seen a better example of 9 candidates, all from many cases diametrically opposed positions, who worked together in such harmony and grace. And in fact, you may remember the Green candidate. I thought I was in disguise from my Elvis hobby because my hair was pulled back the way it is now. The Green candidate got up and she sacrificed her question to turn to me, and she begged me to sing an Elvis song. And you were there, so I'm not making that up.
Absolutely.
And in fact, what she didn't know is the Elvis song was going to lift up the PC party, which is what I did. But she didn't mind. And, so that kind of amicable resolution, that kind of live and let live, and let's do the best we can. And I, as the mayor of Newmarket, would not be at all concerned if there are issues, for example, where the council shows me that I'm on the wrong track. I am not somebody that has to be right, because I've made plenty of mistakes. However, I've always learned from them. My dad taught me something that was very important. He said, Dorian, if a job is worth doing, it is worth doing well. But you're also quite right. I mean, my mother taught me, she said, Dorian, if there is a situation that you have to stand up for, do not be afraid to stand up. And she said to me, it doesn't matter how big the opposition. She said, don't ever forget. And it was when I told her I wanted to be a boxer, she said, please don't. She said, I was 12 and I boxed for 5 years till I was 17. She said, oh, lovey, please don't. She was from Lancashire. Please don't. It'll ruin that lovely face. And she was right. Just look at the proof right there.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, there you go. But I will tell you, she said to me, and I want the residents of Newmarket to know this, she said to me, don't ever forget this. It is never the size of the dog in the fight. It is always the size of the fight in the dog. And I think you're aware, because of that adage, was able to stand against the might of the Treasury of Ontario when I had a disagreement with the Children's Aid Society of Durham. And not only that, they raised the unbelievable fiasco that they caused. They cost taxpayers $3 million. It cost me $387,000, but it only took me 11 months to literally decimate them. They were found guilty of the grossest negligence, grossest incompetence, malicious prosecution and blackmail, and of course I was awarded sole custody of my little girls. And you know what? That's what I do. Napa was founded because of that. I don't charge. I tell people my work is like Bob Barker. The price is right. It's free. And as the mayor of Newmarket, I can multiply my effectiveness helping people. There will not be a single resident of Newmarket will be turned away from my office. Let me tell you, my door will be open. I have, even on my website today, I was transforming it from a federal website and a provincial website into a municipal website. And I have listed.
So you are
all my
taking your steps down?
No, I don't consider that. I'm doing what democracy says, grassroots. And,
okay.
and
it should be the other way around for the other career politicians.
Well, you have
they
to
start with the municipal.
Yes.
And then they get breeded by their counterparts.
But that's the traditional. I have never been traditional. But I will tell you this, and I hope that residents of Newmarket are listening to this. I will say this, that this municipal election is far more important than it has ever been. We are at a crossroads in Newmarket, and I can bring the collective wisdom of my federal grasp of politics, my provincial grasp of politics, to bear on the municipal issues that are facing us today. And I believe that I can lead Newmarket to become the diamond in the belt.
Well, we hope so you get there and shine as a diamond in the.
I believe so. And it won't just be a diamond in the rough, you know.
No. You're already off the rough after 64 years of experience.
Now, let me say one other thing too, Barman, because, just for anyone in Newmarket that is watching today, and by the way, this will be available for people to watch
on YouTube.
Yes, so that's fine. Yeah, so if you know people that have not been able to watch it tonight and you're in Newmarket, please let them know that. What is the website? It's
thatchannel.com.
www.thatchannel.com. And what I wanted to point out was ultimately, keeping in mind that the provincial aspects of what we're dealing out, the federal aspects and the municipal aspects, as they all come together. I was chatting with Ted McFadden, who is one of the editors of the newspaper. He spoke with me yesterday, and he got one of his reporters, Chris Simon, to call me, and there's an article apparently coming out tomorrow dealing with my candidacy. But what he said to me was quite revealing, and it jibed with me, because a number of people have said this. Every election that I've been in, and I have run in 9 federal elections and by-elections, 1 provincial. This is my first municipal one. I also ran for trustee way back about 20 years ago and nearly unseated the incumbent. I was very close. But let me say this. For the first time, I am now running on a level playing field. Because, as you are aware, party politics is one of the biggest blights in this country. and in this province where people think they can only vote for the big parties. And that's why I am so grateful that I was honored to be able to run for the CCP, the Canadians' Choice Party, that literally takes seriously the concept of democracy and says we need to make sure this party politics mentality is put in the right perspective. So for the first time now, I am facing two other candidates on the same level. There's no party politics here. This is
not on the ballot.
No, and what I'm saying though, not on the what I'm saying is, it is the person, and that's what and that's where I feel most people for 18 years I have been serving Newmarket faithfully, in whatever area I can, and I think that this is going to be a very exciting opportunity for me to just move into this position and to build.
I think it's an exciting opportunity for Newmarket.
Well, I appreciate that, and if Newmarket gives me that opportunity, I can guarantee this: there'll be no regret. I guarantee that. I can be assured.
Can we put it in writing?
Yes, I've got the pen right here. No regrets.
Let me get into the little bit more practical aspect of the city by itself. The city of Aurora. You mentioned about the excessive construction over there over the last few years.
Yes, yes.
Deficiency of foreign or outside investment, increase in the joblessness.
That is correct.
Increase in the hunger and poverty.
And for 9 years, the average increase in taxes 4.4%, the highest in the area.
And then increase in the taxes. Yeah. And then in the last 8 years, we had the same mayor, and yet you are very humble to not consider those things as a neglect.
Well, I think it's a good point you've raised, Barman. I have never, and I've noticed this with both of you as talk show hosts, you don't focus, and nor do I, on the negative. What I want to focus on is what I can do. I don't want to be pointing out, I'll be honest with you, we've had too many examples of people pointing back. I mean, with the greatest of respect to President Obama, he is still blaming George W. Bush. And I understand that George W. Bush does have some blame, but for heaven's sake, this man has been 7 years in power now, and we can't keep, we don't, I don't like the blame game. Just let me finish this. My father told me, Dorian, when you point the finger at somebody, Barman, look at that. There's three more pointing back at me.
I want to clarify my question a little bit better. It's not the issue of the blame, but it is the issue of the learning from the lessons.
I agree.
So it's for instance, if I put in comparison the city of Toronto for perspective with the present mayor we have.
Yes.
If we go with your analogy and your reasoning, we should not even touch on what he has done recently or what he caused, and therefore we shouldn't blame anyone, and then we just go as business as usual.
If I've given you that impression, then I think we have to clarify that. No,
I want to be very clear.
You have to look at the past record.
I don't know the mayor. I don't know his challenges in Aurora.
Right.
What I'm saying is 5 major important issue that affects citizens of Aurora.
Yes. No, Newmarket.
Sorry, Newmarket.
Yeah.
And because of these 5 major reasons and other reasons, I believe personally, for a person who get the money, people who get money from the pocket of taxpayers, they are responsible for that. Whether it is in the past, present, or future.
Yes.
Now, the question that I wanted to add in, after saying that is neglect, what caused the voters, constituents, always go back to the incumbent?
Well, I think
that is the major question I have.
Yeah, can you break that question down?
Two.
Well, I mean, the one question, I want you to distinguish between the people who vote versus the people, as a whole in Newmarket, right?
Yes.
Yeah, people who vote.
Those who rather vote officially.
Oh, right? Those who don't vote, that they made their choices not to be part of the electoral process.
Yes.
But I think that choice is a rejection of whoever wins.
Of course, it is one way to look at it. I don't. Probably Dorian can shed some light.
Well,
on
to answer your question, though, my understanding is that in the last election there were no challenges, and he was acclaimed. So, I mean,
Oh, you're talking about municipal.
you're talking about the mayor, and you're asking me.
So what percentage of the popular vote do you get then?
You know what? All I know is that there were about 18,000 people that voted municipally, which is 18,000 out of over 100 and I believe it's 130,000 is really not a good.
18 out of 130,000.
Are you sure about this?
That's difficult. Could it really be that bad?
I'm pretty sure.
Even in Toronto, that was bad. It was 50%, 780,000.
Yeah, it's very low. I know that.
1.6.
Yeah, I mean, I could stand to be corrected here or there, but I think generally that there's the population of Newmarket's got to be, well over 100, 110,000.
Which brings me to the second part of the question, as John stated. If all of these five major issues is so vivid to the citizen,
Yes.
what do you think stops them from making a change by casting their vote?
Well, I think what it goes to really is the political malaise that has plagued Canadians since the Second World War. I mean, the Second World War ushered in a new, vibrant desire to exercise the price of the vote that had been paid in blood. But as we distance ourselves from 1945, it has become weaker. It's really what I would refer to as voter apathy. Now, in Australia, as you know, they deal with that by fining you if you don't vote.
Well, that doesn't deal with voter apathy, that's just forced voting.
Yeah, but all I'm trying to suggest is that, there has to be a way to inculcate, whether it be municipal, whether it be provincial or federal, to inculcate into our children the responsibility they have. If they will not vote, then they cannot blame anybody for what's going wrong in their community. One of the reasons I run and have been running since 2003 is I am not happy with what's going on federally. I wasn't happy with what's going on provincially, and now I'm not happy with what's going on municipally, especially after that last meeting. Again, as I say this, over the years, any dealings I've had with the mayor, the incumbent, he's been a perfect gentleman, and his lovely wife as well. When I saw the disharmony on Monday, it was like seeing a whole different person there. And the treatment of one councillor in particular, I was stunned, that there could be this kind of autocratic ruling from a mayor who, in my view, every time I've seen him in public, is one of the most fine, gentlemanly behaved people. So this was an eye-opener for me. And I think that going back to Ron Thurgood, who said to me, a 92-year-old gentleman, I want you to run for mayor. I never even thought about it until he suggested that. And then I got all the support that came in. So again, why do I run? Because I feel I can make a difference. And I've said it again, if the residents of Newmarket are not happy with some of the stuff going on, I can't say that I'm going to snap my fingers and resolve the traffic congestion in the first week. But let me tell you, I will resolve it, and I'll resolve it rapidly. And I will say this, Dorian will make the difference.
Well, what are your plans to get these voters' apathy to change their mind?
Well, I mean, yes,
for you for other one.
I've already started knocking on doors. I only announced my candidacy yesterday. I've knocked on doors already, and I've had more phone calls. I mean, one of the things that I'm learning to do is to tweet. Twitter is amazing. I mean, I can't believe it.
I thought you were going to tweet yourself.
Well, I got to tell you, I said to my church warden today, I said, I should have paid more attention to Tweety Bird in the cartoons, because let me tell you, Twittering is probably one of the most powerful forms of reaching people today. And so I'm going to be, like my dad told me. He said, son, because I remember somebody was calling somebody a twit, and he said, do you know what a twit is? I haven't got a clue. Maybe people in Newmarket would be interested in a twit is a pregnant fish. And I never knew that. And I don't know why people get called a twit. But the fact of the matter is that twittering, I think, has become and is currently the most rapid way of reaching people. So I'm planning on twittering as much as I can. And the big thing for me is getting as many people in Newmarket out to vote. I really am not worried which way they vote. I'd like them to vote for me, but the most important thing is to get them out to vote. And I think that that's how elections are won. And I will be definitely
clearly anybody who got the vote out could win this election.
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah.
Especially with these numbers, 18,000.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Even if the numbers were
certain, yeah.
Even if it were 50%, which we know it's not.
Well, that means there's still 50% is available. I would like to see what was the percentage of the mayor percentage-wise.
Yeah.
In
be very interesting. Well, I mean, if you are not challenged and you're acclaimed.
Well, it's like a Baghdad as Saddam Hussein, you get 90-80% approval.
Exactly. But I think that in this case, I mean, it's the first time I think there's been 3 contenders for the position. So it'll be interesting. I like the fact there's 3 because there's 1 for the Father, 2 for the Son, 3 for the Holy Ghost.
Well, you never know if there is more by the.
That is true. That is true.
11th of the September is the deadline.
That is correct.
Yeah, I would predict that you're entering the race will motivate others.
I hope so. I hope it does. I mean, like in my view,
they can be sort of Dorian sub-candidates.
Well, who knows? But the fact of the matter
or
is,
clone.
There you go. Or even like you, a clown.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is, variety is the spice of life. The more choices for the people in Newmarket, the better. And that also, let's imagine we get 5 or 6 candidates in the next 3 more. Yeah. If that ends up with me being the mayor, that will make me feel even better. The fact there was a large choice.
The more candidates enter, the more likely the
incumbent will win. You have over 60 in Toronto.
Yeah,
over 60.
Yeah.
What's that?
You have over 60 candidates for mayor.
Why would anybody run for mayor with all the wards that are lacking candidates?
Well, I tell you, it's an interesting situation.
There is 2 wards, 22 and.
Actually, I haven't checked that recently. Are those,
22 and 25 is still 1.
Incumbents only.
22 and 25.
And those would be. Those
probably I wait till 10th. I wait till 10th.
No,
but if there is 1, I go and put my application.
I think you've got to do that because Obama. I think it's your moral duty to make sure that if those people are reelected, that they actually beat somebody.
Yeah, at least there is a name there as a challenge. Exactly. Like a boxer goes to the ring and there is no opponent.
Well, exactly.
That's called shadow boxing.
Yes, and it reminds me too. I mean, I swim in the national championships for the Masters program. I represent the Aurora Master Ducks, and I've been to at least, I guess, 7 or 8 of these national events, and there's a gentleman there. One of the age groups is 96 to 100.
96 to 100.
And you know what? He wins every time. He's the only one swimming. And you know what? He swims.
Oh, he's the only one
swimming.
Yes,
there's no one else in that age group. But you know what? Just like the boxer who doesn't have he wins, and he's got all the championship medals, and more power to him, because he's doing. He finishes the events. He was in the 1500 meters.
He's just show up.
No, but he has to do the event.
No, what I'm saying is when you show up.
Yeah. And when you swim. Yes, and 1500 meters, if you're 96 years old, it's a huge achievement.
Oh, it's a huge achievement. He was George Bush 1. Used to say that 98% of life is just showing up.
Yeah,
and I think
half of the battle is to show up.
Yeah.
Yes, and talking about the George Bush 1, the American ethos, you had a question you wanted to ask me about citizenship and the renunciation of that.
Oh my God!
Yes. Do you have dual citizen in Aurora or from United States?
Yes, I have British citizenship. And because I was born in Kenya, when Kenya was considered to be a colony, and I automatically was domiciled in Britain. And then I came to Canada. in 1968, and at the earliest opportunity I applied for citizenship. So here I am with dual citizenship. Now,
No, what I'm talking about, a dual citizen from, do you have a large number of the people in Aurora who are connected to U.S.?
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that. No.
So because of the recent changes in United States
Yes,
regarding
yes.
the taxation and the
Well,
IGA
yes,
and all of
yes.
that.
The hunt for America.
The hunt for money.
FATCA hunt.
FATCA hunt for
Well,
the
I-
money,
you know,
or pocket of the money.
And I know this is a municipal discussion, but could you just spell out what FATCA stands for? Because I am shocked at what's going on here.
Oh, this is an incredible thing. Well, it stands
The foreign-
for Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. And
Unbelievable.
This is an American law. And Dorian, did you know that your bank near your house in Newmarket is foreign? It's foreign. And if you don't report it, you're subject to huge penalties. But more importantly, if the banks don't report it, then they're subject to huge penalties. I mean, it's making the lives of American citizens or Canadians who happen to be Americans so
Well,
difficult
my-
that they are
yeah.
renouncing their citizenship.
Yeah,
And just today, incredibly, the United States of America, that great citadel of freedom and justice, has apparently announced that because of rising demand to renounce U.S. citizenship, that they are raising the fee, the administrative fee, from $450 to approximately $2,300.
It's the demand and supply.
Oh, the demand is so huge. You can't even get an appointment to renounce U.S. citizenship for months. But you know what struck me about it?
Probably I should apply for a job in the U.S. U.S. consulate.
Yeah, well,
You'll get one. You'll get one.
But what struck me about it, I mean, it's the clearest proof that the government of the United States provides absolutely no services to its citizens.
Unbelievable.
But wants the money. Six
wants
times
the
the
money,
six
yeah.
times of.
But the
But you know,
biggest,
my prediction on it is, though, I mean, you know, obviously, you know, like all tyrannical countries, they feel that, you know, that will quell the renunciation and hold people in. I predict this is going to be one of those rare situations in the world of economics where the higher the price goes to renounce, the greater
The demands become.
you could be right. But you know, my biggest concern about this foreign account, this FATCA issue, is, and that came through on Canada Day. July
It
the
did,
1st.
and in fact, it's heavily, you know, it was agreed to and promoted and acquiesced in by the government of Stephen Harper, who, by
Yes.
signing this agreement
Yes.
with the United States, effectively transformed Canada's head of state from the Governor General to the IRS
Well,
Commissioner.
This is what concerns me. Do you know what I regard it as? I regard it as a second War of 1812. We repelled the American attempt to take over this government in the War of 1812.
No.
Here we are in the year 2014, like we're dealing with 202 years later. And of all the days, Canada Day, the day that we celebrate our nationhood, and guess what? We've put the IRS in control of this nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
is-
Canada Day now means something different in the
It
United
is-
States.
it's-
Canada
yeah.
Day is the day
Well,
of the United
probably that
States
is-
and next Canada.
I can tell you right now,
Probably that is why it is. We have 1st of July and 4th of July.
Well, it's a very good thing that Sir John A. Macdonald, I believe, is in the ethereal mansions above, because if he was in his grave, he'd be turning over right now.
Well,
He was the one that stemmed that tide. Sir John A. got the railroad in time. We were able to have victory. What did Stephen Harper do? And his financial advisor, I guess, Mr. Flaherty, who may he rest in peace. Let me tell you something. What they have done, and I will say this to the residents of Newmarket, is an absolute betrayal of this nation's sovereignty. And I know that it's a federal issue, but it trickles down. It is
All the way
affecting.
down to
It is
the
affecting
citizens.
those citizens in Newmarket that are seeking to renounce their American citizenship with good reason. Are now, as of yesterday, is it today or yesterday?
Actually, I think it's supposed to be tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Imagine.
they have to
It's
get
gonna
take
cost
a
them
loan.
nearly, what is it, 2,300?
2,400.
Well, I think that a community project should be started provide funding for people who can't afford it. I was thinking of calling it renunciation loan.
Yes.
We'll do it.
Or grant.
Yes.
Grant, yes. In some cases, you can apply for
On
funding.
that note, we are getting close to the end of the program, as I'm getting signal from our producer.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dorian, I want to give you about 60 seconds, although you were very clear about your direction, why you are running and why people of Aurora has to elect you or vote for you.
Yes.
60-second closing. Is there anything that you want to just either
I think
re-emphasize or
yes.
add to what you said already?
I think that I would go back to my father's wisdom. He said, Dorian, if a job is worth doing, it is worth doing well. I can assure you, the members of the wonderful community of Newmarket, Ontario, that I consider the mayor's job to be a job worth doing, and I will do it well. I will then marry that to my mother's statement, which says, when you're faced with adversity, remember, it is not the size of the dog in the fight, it is the size of the fight in the dog. And I'm sorry there wasn't enough fight in the dog or the dogs when the Glenway suffered that great betrayal. The OMB managed to overpower the Newmarket Council, and guess what? All those houses that were bought around the Glenway, they were assured when they bought them, this would never, ever be sold, and they've been betrayed. So I'll finish by just saying this. Dorian, the only vote Newmarket needs, and I'll thank you for your confidence, and I will not let you down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dorian, the only vote you really need. I love it.
Thank you.
Get that?
You just came. There's a friend of mine. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dorian, for taking part in this
What a pleasure. What a
this
pleasure.
program tonight. Unfortunately, we had another guest who couldn't make it, a young fellow who runs for the Ward 6 of the Hamilton. I think because of the traffic
It
grid
was, yes.
that you were mentioning. He couldn't
But I was here.
make it.
I was here early.
You were
Early.
here.
I was
You
here
were
before
You were
you.
coming from north. Thank you for watching us tonight. Please don't forget to take participation in the political process that comes back to haunt you and your lifestyle. Become a volunteer, become a candidate, or at least vote. Good night.
And remember, Independent Nation will return.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.